Ruto. President Ruto, we voted for you. We respect you. We love you. I work for you. I am one of your leaders in the Senate. And Ruto, I want to tell you today kwamba ulituomba kura ya rais, tukachangia, umepata. Mungu ndiye aliamua. President, sababu ilikuwa mbili peke yake ilionifanya nikaomba watu wetu na wakakubali. Niliwaambia, wewe, your excellency president, ukiwa president, Luhya land will never be the same again, kwamba maendeleo itakuwa pembe zetu sote. Mwiyama na mwiyama. Jambo ya mwisho, President Ruto, ambaye niliambia hawa Luhya, ni kwamba vile tunatoa uhuru na tunaingiza wewe, wakati wewe utatoka na sisi wa Luhya tutaingiza president wa Kenya awe Mluhya. And I want to repeat it for the uptenth time, nikiwa hapa kwa watu wetu, kwamba I have not lost focus. We are supporting the president today up to 2032. President awe president, na katika hiyo miaka sisi tuone maendeleo ikifanyika pembe zingine za Kenya, ifanyike hapa kwetu. Na Mr. President, ukae ukijua, ukiwa na mtu mrefu, mfupi, mnono, tajiri, maskini, wakae wakijua kwamba vile mnatembea na kwenye Khalwale, sina siri. Mimi ni mtoto ya maskini, mtoto ya changa brua. Mimi ni mtoto mwenye Mungu alitaka nikuwe vile nilivyo, siwezi tembea na uongo. President Ruto, sisi tunataka tukuridhi ukitoka kama rais, na sisi Waluhya tuingia. I'm telling you. Kwa hivyo Mr. President, nikiona katika mtandao serikali ya picha na nani, those people are not our leaders. Watu wenye naona kwa mtandao naanza kujipendekeza kwa rais, ndio rais yaseme ati nyinyi ndio mnatoka uliokuwa mkoa wa Magharibi. No. Wenye kuingia Luhya msata wayo babaka Kenya yamanya msata ukurang anangongwa Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi, msata wakabili anangongwa Moses Masika Wetangula, msata ukumalika anangongwa Shinshin Dr. Boni Khalwale. And President, don't lose that focus.
Belgium. Belgium at the back right there. Botswana. Very good. Zambia. Kenya. Lesotho. Thank you. Eswatini. Try to smile. Yeah, try to be happy.
It is an honor to have you congregate in Kenya for the 39th Association for Educational Assessment in Africa. More than anyone else, you need no telling how the conference has contributed in changing assessment practices in member countries for nearly 40 years now. All that remains is to appeal to member countries to institutionalize the sharing of best practices and rich learning experiences to improve assessments. I am proud to announce that Kenya, represented by the Kenya National Examination Council, apart from being a primary member of the association, has actively participated in all conferences since inception of the AEAA. Kenya has hosted 4 previous conferences in 1993, 1998, 2001, and 2011. This is the 5th conference we are glad to host. Having a bird's eye view of Kenya government activities, I confirm to this conference that key recommendations from the previous 3 conferences have laid a strong foundation for regional integration discussions. Kenya now works with most countries on comparability, complementarity, and transferability of certificates for continuity of study in Kenya. Kenya has also institutionalized the use of school-based assessments so that learning is informed by prompt assessments, feedback. The theme for this year's conference, Educational Assessment for Nurturing Every Learner's Potential, speaks to this transformation. Indeed, this theme is also timely for Kenya since we are in the midst of transiting to the new educational system of competency-based assessment, CBC. While we are faced with emerging challenges resulting from technological advancement and appropriate assessments for CBC, we look forward to best practice takeaways from this conference that will guarantee no learner is left behind on account of assessments under the CBC. First, I'm so relieved to be standing in front of examiners because in the past, facing examiners was a problem. It was quite an experience. So I'm happy that I can stand here, this time not to be examined or assessed. So there's a sigh of relief in me. You know, when you talk about examiners, and this is on a lighter note, perhaps in the past, and maybe still in the present, after the police and the judges, the people you dread most are examiners and assessors. Therefore, when we stand before you in such moments, it's a sigh of relief. And equally, when one looks at the logistics that you normally have to manage to get the millions and millions of young men and women across the continent to be able to go through this very important process, then you really deserve a lot of applause and salutations. In Kenya, there are two institutions that go through some very challenging logistical processes. One is the electoral body. When it is conducting elections, the logistical task is a nightmare. And later on, the outcome is either settled in some court of law or some other way, and they say that if you didn't get it right, there was rigging. The other one is yours. I think your logistical assignment is usually bigger as assessors, and because you're actually reaching out to even more people at the end of the day. And luckily, the role of the assessors and examiners has not really ended up in petitions, which means you do something right. The final thing that I want to say is factual. Before Dr. Njegere became the head of the Kenya National Examination Council, believe it or not, my first employer was the Kenya National Examination Council. After I had done my A-levels, my first job was in the famous Mitihani House, which was in the city center. And at that time, the head of the institution was called Macau. And I was employed for about 9 months, waiting to join the university. And my salary then was a cool 950 Kenya shillings per month, which at today's exchange rate would amount to $8 per month. So I have a history with you. Climate change has occasioned destruction and calamities from the unrelenting forces of nature. Humanity is on the verge of destitution, thanks to constant threats of droughts, flooding, unpredictable rainfall patterns, outbreak of diseases, and infestation of pests. Rapid behavior change measures need to be taught, practiced, and assessed progressively in our education systems to systematically change citizen behavior in the face of these adversities. Schools and colleges should become the best spaces for measuring the innovative ideas to counter the effects of climate change. As the saying goes, the early bird catches the worm. We therefore owe it to ourselves and future generations to inculcate in the young the ethics of living as one with nature before it is too late. Again, nature has its lessons that should help us save our planet for the future generations. I hope that in this conference, climate change awareness, nurturing innovations, creativity, and technology for sustainable development will find place in discussions and pragmatic recommendations. Meanwhile, I am informed that you will have opportunities to visit some parts of magical Kenya. We encourage you to enjoy the tours and, if possible, extend your stay to sample even more destinations than what has been planned for. Plant at least one tree while sightseeing in Kenya. We have set the pace against climate change in Kenya. The special presidential program on accelerated restoration of forests and rangelands launched provides opportunities. This was in December 2022. Provides opportunities for the participation of youth and women in tree growing campaigns. Over the next 10 years, we will plant 15 billion trees, create 320,000 direct jobs in seedling production, tree planting and maintenance, thinning and pruning, maintenance of forest roads and fire breaks, community scouts, forest rangers and foresters. Those in our education systems must have increased awareness that will sustain such efforts. I appreciate the Ministry of Education and the Kenya National Examination Council for the good arrangements, the sponsors and the partners for their support in financial, technical, and technological resources that should make this conference a pleasant experience. It is now my pleasant duty to declare the 39th AEAA Conference officially open for fruitful discussions. God bless Africa and you all. Asanteni sana. Kenya has also embarked on a digital transformation that envisages the provision of digital jobs because of dwindling white-collar job opportunities. This calls for leveraging ICT in learning, teaching, and assessment. Our desire is that learners are agile and ready to embrace the needs of the 21st century workplace. We therefore hope to benefit from conference discussions on leveraging ICT in assessment. I am famous for tusidanganyane collab, a Kiswahili phrase cautioning Kenyans that let's not deceive one another. I reiterate it here to emphasize that no other profession demands for integrity, honesty, and ethics like the psychometricians, educators, and researchers attending this conference. You are the professionals who determine the true abilities of every learner in the education system. You determine the fate of countries whose most crucial asset is the human resource. Governments rely on products you have molded to make investments, policies, job placements, reviews, and reforms. Kwa hivyo, tusidanganyane. While discussing the sub-theme, managing the social educational effects of higher education stakes assessment to ensure equity and fairness. Allow me to also speak to the 39th conference sub-themes, where I see a web of immediate interministerial engagements and synergies required to actualize key conference outputs. The sub-themes are relevant and resonate with the experiences of many education systems, as is affirmed by the number of education experts and their researched presentations. I single out the sub-theme on the role of assessment data in informing teaching, learning, and policy, which I am informed attracted the highest number of presentations from 17 countries. From a Kenyan perspective, we have placed a high premium on research and the use of empirical data to inform policy and practice. Consequently, the recommendations from discussions around this subtheme will require the cross-engagement of the Ministries of Education and ICT, Kenya National Examining Council, and the Teachers Service Commission for effective implementation. This scenario may not be unique to Kenya, as each country will have to work on the best domestic mutations, but with focus on regional complementarity. The sub-theme on enhancing technical, vocational, and occupational assessment, including recognition of prior learning, has stimulated my interest. This is for the reason that in Kenya, the technical vocational education and training subsector has been undergoing reforms since 2008. These reforms culminated in the enactment of the Technical Vocation Education and Training Act number 29 of 2013. The Act provides for the establishment of a TVET authority for regulation and quality assurance, the establishment of the TVET Curriculum Development Assessment and Certification Council to develop curricula, assess, and certify TVET qualifications, and authorizes the national polytechnics as qualifications awarding institutions. It is my hope that the discussions under this sub-theme will enrich our ongoing policy dialogue on how TVET graduates can be more compliant with the needs of industry. Ladies and gentlemen, reason straddles my curiosity on the same sub-theme because through the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, the Kenya government is committed to increase GDP from 7.2% to a double-digit one by 2030. For a key driver, like the manufacturing sector, we have identified TVETs as the enablers. TVETs are expected to provide skilled manpower to remedy the skills gap currently being experienced.